Today, a big day for Tesla. Also, we have the elections coming closer for us. We're going to take a look at the markets. We'll give an update on Tesla during the pre-market hours of their earnings report day, which comes out in the after hours. So we're going to be watchful for that as a catalyst for the stock price. Let's put up the charts for the S&P 500's ETF SPY, NASDAQ 100's QQQ, and then Russell 2000's IWM, and then we'll go through Nvidia, Tesla, and we'll also give an update on Bitcoin as they continue to be in very interesting positions, and we want to see where each one is and where they could potentially go from here. So for SPY, here's the rising wedge pattern. We kind of peekabooed out of the bottom of it yesterday, but still closed back in, closed up above this green 5-period EMA that you see squiggling up across the screen right here. Now, mind you, that's still bullish to be above the 5, to be above 13, above the 50s, above the 200. We are still in a bullish position on this, even as per the momentum indicator, the RSI on the daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart. We are still in bullish territory for the S&P 500 as tracked by SPY that we see here. This blue price, we are near the 581.38. We're below the 585 and above the 578. So we would be watchful for these prices being in this area here. If we fall to the bottom of this and then come bouncing back up and hit our heads on this, that could be something that potentially, as we retest this as resistance, if we fall out of it, that could be something that if the resistance holds off this bottom trend line that you see in the rising wedge pattern, we could get a further sell from that. That would activate these 50-period EMA and SMA indicators that you have on here for the daily chart. And if I were to put up the Bollinger Bands, this price also should not be ignored of about 576. Because the 20 period has acted as a significant spot for a bounce for us in this most recent bullish trend that we've had for the S&P. So for the S&P, you can see the prices that I have on here. And if you watch my previous videos, you'll see these prices as well. You can go ahead and screenshot them. They're important support and resistance prices that we have. And you can see more in this mixed territory that we have, just how big of a role these nearest support and resistance lines have played for us, whether it's been for rejection off resistance or the bounces off support that we've had recently, and the role that we have with the exponential moving average, the 5-period, recently during this strongly trending time in the S&P. So guys, if you want to see these technicals before they hit YouTube, if you want to see my buys and sells, talk to me and my community members, there is a link for the Patreon down in the description. Click that, sign up, head on over there, and you can see all that. And plus, there's more products and services on their way as I have some integrations coming over to that Patreon, to the Discord very soon. So mind you can produce these technicals yourself using the link for Stockmo Academy. I'll talk about that later, and in the discount code Dr. DOCTOR later in this video. So moving over to the Qs. For the Qs, we keep dipping back down below this 5-period EMA that you see on here, but finding support at the 13, still bullish, especially closing up above both of those. So very much like what we had for the S&P, and also similar to what I have for the S&P, you can see the support and resistance prices nearby to what I have posted for right now. So big tech earnings are coming up. That's going to be a heavy influence on what we see for the markets, and the election is also going to lead into some volatility that we see for those markets. And what we want to watch nearest for the Qs is this potential close down below the 5-period. If that gives up, watch for the 13. If the 13 gives, then we see what we see with the Russell 2000 stocks through IWM. Let me go out to the daily chart on this one so we can see a little bit more of what's happening, where we actually are down below the 5, down below the 13, and we got rejected yesterday, closing a little bit lower today, and the pre-market's a little bit lower after that. This could be one of those bellwether canary in the coal mine type moments where we watch and see what is going to potentially happen with the indices like the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500. Now, mind you, there's not a direct connection there. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see that, but we do know that we have more sensitivity with the Russell 2000 stocks, as they have far less insulation against the volatility and economic downturn that could potentially come its way. Rate cuts are going to be huge for this, and soft landing also for the Russell 2000, that we see the inflation continue to subside, the federal funds rate continue to be cut, and economic strength continue. That's going to all be highly bullish for what we see for the Russell 2000 stocks. We're above the 50 and 200 period moving averages. Matter of fact, the 200 is not even on screen. Now it is. It's all the way down at about 206.72 as of yesterday's close, in the pre-market softening just a little bit. Still anybody's call as to what could take place. Moving on from the Russell 2000, which, mind you, 225, significant rejection. Actually, we peaked a bit above that, but the trend line up above that off previous peaks had been the thing that smacked us back down. So that trend line in white is a good trend line. We are also in a long-term bullish trend spanning decades for this. So we might see some near-term volatility, but we want to watch for those bounces off those low parts of the bullish channel. And that can be the thing that could really catalyze the Russell 2000 stocks. So let's move on from there over to Nvidia. Nvidia, we have a very near-term rising wedge pattern that might be shaping up for us. And you guys can see that happening now. Mind you, that can continue on for a while and takes us right past $153 per share. And then it peaks around, well, let me see what that price is, about 163. And that also takes us out date-wise out to about the middle of November. Now, it's anybody's call what exactly happens here. And there are longer-term trends that we have on here, including the consolidation pattern that you see on here. And there's an even bigger broadening wedge pattern that's part of this as well, which really opens up the top for Nvidia for further price potential. You guys can see the different prices that I have on here. And these have been ones that I've shared in the past that I've just updated into view, where you can see those even better to the upside for resistance and to the downside for support. And don't be surprised if we get mixed up in here for a while in this resistance band that we have. There's just a ton of resistance taking place right now. But if we do manage to push up above 147, then we have room up to 153, almost unencumbered. So that would be a free rise area that we could see if we're able to pop that resistance to the top of this. 145 and 147 can both offer us a pretty significant rejection. So be on the watch for that if we head in a bullish direction. If instead we tumble back down through these supports, you guys can see these support prices that we have here. And 136.56 is a very significant level, as it is a previous peak for us right in this area with these two green bands that you see. And so we actually have a decent amount of insulation taking place for Nvidia, including the economic moat that it has and also the strength that it has, really the guidance that comes up at the end of November, mid to end of November for their earnings. Matter of fact, right here, we can see November 20th in the after hours is currently, as a matter of fact, it probably is official because I don't see a little tilde telling us that it's an approximate date. So that would be mid to end November that we're looking for the earnings from Nvidia. In the meantime, we have big tech, including Tesla, with their reports coming up within the next week or two. Tesla's, of course, being in the evening. You can see the sideways trading that we've had with the very long wicks on here. Lots of indecision, lots of indecisiveness. You can see this trend line coming across here, which we had to touch on yesterday before bouncing back up, and some more nervousness coming in, probably in sympathy with the rest of what we have for the market. I think that this range right here, Tesla's just deciding what exactly to do. And if you have not seen my Tesla stock price prediction and earnings projection video, go back and watch it. You can just click on my name for this channel and then tap on the videos tab and you'll see it just below this video. And it says to watch immediately. You definitely want to watch it before the market closed today. And I give my Tesla earnings projection, and I also give my Tesla stock price prediction for where it could go depending on which way the market interprets the earnings that we have. I have a slight bullish bias going into it, and I definitely have a long-term bullish bias for Tesla, and that's what keeps me being a long-term investor, but you can watch more details over at that video. So guys, this technical analysis that I am going to put back up on screen for you, you can learn how to do this through Stockmo Academy. Stockmo is a personal friend of mine, and he sent me over a link. He said, go ahead and use this link. It will help support your channel, help support the people learning through your channel. And I can tell you, as a 17-year veteran to education, having my doctorate in education, I can tell you that everything in that course is just so solidly and exquisitely put together, very well defined. The bread recipe trading strategy is top notch. It's one that Stockmo and I had collaborated on early. He really refined it and honed it and made it his own. And man, oh man, I tell you what, it is powerful, and it is in that course. And there are tons and tons of testimonials talking about the strength and success that people are having with that bread recipe trading strategy, whether it's up or downward movement that you're looking for. The bread recipe strategy will absolutely help you with that. So not only can you set up these technicals, but you can also learn that trading strategy through Stockmo Academy. And you can do that using that link down in the description. Use the code word doctor when you sign up, DOCTOR, and that's going to be a massive savings on that course. And the bread recipe itself is really going to make that course worthwhile. Guys, let's get back to the technicals here for Tesla. So for Tesla, breaking above 221, I think we're going to break outside this range. Just so you know, with earnings, we either drop that down through and we revisit 200, or we push up past that, and then we have about 228 up above, that's 232, we're going to have a big movement from earnings. That's not going to be anything short of incredible to watch the movement happen. And it all depends on what we hear based on the expectations that are set for Tesla. We definitely want to hear about expanding margins. We want to hear about that next revenue driver that's coming along, the next earnings driver that we're going to get for that, filling out the earnings per share. What's going to set us for that next band of growth? Is that coming in the next quarter? Is that coming in the next year? Is that coming in the next 2 years? Because that's totally going to determine the near-term price action of the stock. So I'll be listening for that in the earnings call, and I'll be reporting that back to you. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Guys, let's wrap this up with Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, look at that rejection that we got off the top of this trend line, this white trend line that we have on here, and just kicked right back out. 66,365 is important to us. Now to the top, the 69,711 is absolutely huge for breaking above to see an $84,000, $85,000 price tag coming out for Bitcoin. If we can do that, if we can get on top of that line as support, and I have that stripped down view for you over here, where you can really see those prices come in. There we go. Move that over so you guys can see it. To get to these green prices, almost 70,000, 74,000, 84.5 thousand. To get to those values, we really got to get on top this most recent resistance that we got rejected on, and that matches up with this previous peak that we have over here. The further we fall down through these supports, the longer it's going to delay that push up to the top. But I still remain a long-term bull on Bitcoin, as it still is the leader, with people finding it very difficult to put chinks in that armor. So to really penetrate through, burst the bubble on Bitcoin, for right now, it doesn't seem as though that is something that has any sort of near-term end in sight, and continues to be an inflation hedge, continues to be a hedge against different governments that we have, and so also continues to be a risk asset. So as we see more money dumped into risk assets, whether that continues to be now or if it's at some later date, we will fill out those prices. The question is when exactly we'll do it. We need to get on top of 69,711 in the near term to see the 85,000, 84.5 thousand, I should say, happen in that near term. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Check out the link down in the description for the Patreon. Head on over to the Discord, see my buys and sells, my technicals, talk with me and my community members. And then also, guys, learn how to do this technical analysis trading yourself through Stockmo Academy. Use the link down in the description. Use the code word doctor when you sign up for that discount. I promise you that you are going to learn a ton from that, and that bread recipe strategy is top notch. It's really going to help you out. Thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.